Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sterling Live. My name is Caitlin Brower. I am Sterling's Director of PR and Social Media and your host for Sterling Live, our weekly live series that's on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So I'm so excited to be here today and to have two great guests with me. So you can see them above me right now. We have Joy Henry, Head of Technology and Business Services, and Josh Harrisking, Director of Technical Program Management at Fountain. And you can see on the bottom of our screen, our topic today is a deep dive into Sterling and Fountain's preferred partnership. So I'm so happy that two of you are able to join me for today's episode, but I would love for you to now introduce yourselves to our audience. So Josh, I'm going to kick it to you to start. Can you please introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about your role at Fountain?
Of course. Well, first, thanks, Caitlin, for having me here, invite me on. I'm excited to be here with you and Joy and talk about Sterling and Fountain. So just for everybody's context, Fountain is a platform that is focused on hiring and retaining frontline workers. We consider ourselves the experts in that space as we've processed over 100 million applicants and hired over 15 million people since we started. I've been at Fountain for the last 3 years. Previously, I was leading our integration team and working with partners like Sterling to bring them onto our platform and improve and strengthen the integrations between them. Over the last 6 months, I've been focused on a new role, which is Director of Technical Program Management, as you said, which is really the chief of staff over all of our engineering teams. I make sure all the trains are on time and all the great innovation that we're doing here at Fountain stays on track and gets out to our customers and our partners.
Awesome.
Additionally, for our key partners like Sterling, for these key partnerships, I'm intimately involved working with the partners and with our development teams to make sure we deliver that to our customers. So that's why I'm here talking to you guys today.
Well, you're going to deliver some great stuff for us. I know that today on this episode. So thank you for joining us and thank you for that introduction. Joy, can you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
With pleasure. It's nice to be back on Sterling Live. So I am the commercial lead for the U.S. Technology and Business Services division at Sterling, which is a little bit of a mouthful. But really what that means is that I look after several of Sterling's practice areas. So we're organized in practice areas or verticals. And taking care of our clients across the U.S. So I'm focused on financial services, business services, technology, media, entertainment, hospitality. So I have these really long lists of things, including my title. I've been with Sterling for 10 years. I marked my decade mark last year. And I'm excited to be back.
Yes, I'm excited to have you back with us for sure. So again, two great guests. We're going to talk about a really awesome partnership today. Before we get into it though, I want to remind our audience, if you are watching live on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube right now, you can ask questions at any time throughout the episode. Just go ahead and put your question inside the comment box across these three platforms, and I will get them over to Joy and Josh as I see fit throughout the episode. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Fountain and Sterling have a preferred partnership. So exciting. We announced this a couple of weeks back that Fountain has selected Sterling as their preferred background screening partner. So we've been partners for 5 years now, which is great. So Josh, I'm going to come to you first with this question, then Joy chime in. Can you talk a little bit about our relationship over the years and how it has evolved into, such an exciting time for us right now?
Of course. So since I joined Fountain from day one, I knew that integrations were going to be really critical to everything we wanted to do. To be the leading platform for hiring and onboarding frontline workers, we had to partner with companies like Sterling because, quite frankly, we don't want to be in the business of background checks. That's not our lane. That's not our strength, right? But guess what? Sterling is. And so, as you said, we've been partners and working together for 5 years. And it's been clear over those 5 years that just how good Sterling is at what they do, and how they do so with just a high level of integrity and thoroughness with all the background check they provide. So it was obvious that we wanted to work together, and so over the last year we've been working to deepen that partnership. I think it was about a year ago that Joy and I got on a call together and worked through how we develop this into more. Why is this important to Fountain? Why does this help us so much? Is our goal is to hire large amounts of people very quickly for our enterprise customers, but we also need to have that hired at a very high quality level, right? Um, we do this by reducing the pain points throughout the whole application process and making the recruiter and the candidate experience as seamless and as low friction as possible. This gets workers to day one faster, and this gets recruiters focused on those high touch points that are really critical to making sure the right candidates come and work for them. You're going to hear me say low friction a lot because like it is really important to us, right? It's like to make that as smooth as possible. As anybody who's applied for a job knows that, it's a frustrating experience, and to do so without any hassle makes it a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable. So for all these roles, or for a majority of these roles, we need to have background checks. We want to make sure that drivers are legally able to drive, right? Healthcare workers have their certifications up to snuff. We want to make sure that any criminal history is there to make that right hiring decision. And this is where Sterling comes in and works their magic, and does what they do best. And so that's Joy's department. I'll let her talk about that.
Yeah, I think the key things are really about volume and scale. So Fountain does a really good job of helping millions of people get through their platform and get to work as quickly as possible, being able to wrap their arms around what that organization's expectations are for that onboarding experience. And Sterling is able to scale to that. So we conduct over 110 million background checks a year and help people successfully get through that platform. And so our ability to scale, as well as our ability to do it fast and compliantly, I think makes these two organizations fit really nicely together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's great. And I love, hearing what we've done recently, but then also too, starting at 5 years ago, and just, congratulations to both teams on 5 years and what looks like a very, very promising future together.
You know what, Caitlin? I'm sorry. One thing just before we kind of parlay.
Sure.
I think one of the other things I think is important to call out is watching the change of what our onboarding should feel like. So
yes.
Employers have a lot of pressure on them to remove that friction, and that means different things to different organizations. And so looking at how nimble the Fountain platform is, and how we can then we can integrate directly into that, leveraging all different kinds of tools that we have in our toolbox. It's been really cool to kind of watch the change that Fountain has made through market demands, and how nicely it matches up with how we're trying to drive that change as well. So I just felt like I needed to call it out. It's the obvious thing, right? Like Great Resignation, exactly. People looking for jobs, gig work, healthcare work changing, like all of those things are just rapidly evolving. And so you need to have platforms and partners that naturally do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about our integration a little bit more. I do have 2 specific questions for the both of you. So Joy, I'll start with you first for this question. Why are clients choosing us? Why are they choosing Sterling and Fountain?
So I think if you were to boil it down to the two most simplest points, I think the first is our ability to scale and the depth of background screens that we can do. We have, I haven't actually met a search that we don't do, which is fun. And I also haven't found a country or territory in the world where we can't help an employer with gathering information that helps them make an informed hiring decision. That means different things all over the world, but we haven't met a country or territory we can't do something compliantly in. And so I think being able to give a single partnership offering to companies now where they're doing more with less, trying to get economies of scale savings in place, and leveraging technology wherever they can, we're an obvious one that sort of stands out. That, and then once you join the Sterling family, I think the other thing that makes people and organizations pick us and stay, because we're really proud of our retention rates, is how we're organized around our clients in those practice areas. So we're a really big organization, and a lot of things big isn't always better when you're talking about very human-oriented experiences. You need to be able to tailor those and make them feel comfortable. I always use the example when you're coming home from an international trip and you're walking up with your passport in hand to the customs desk, and even though you know you didn't do anything wrong, you still get a little nervous and you hope they don't ask you a question you can't answer. That's how a lot of people feel going into background checks.
Yeah.
And having people and a team around you that understands what that feels like in your industry and how to translate that into a better experience with the right products and services wrapped around it is really why people come and stay.
Yeah.
What's funny is that I had a similar thought in the way I think about around Fountain's role. It's related to travel, and that's why I bring it up right now. I'm going to date myself for a second. We all we've all ridden in taxi cabs, and even though they're going by the wayside nowadays, that's a high friction transaction, right? That's like you have to hail the cab. You got to talk to the driver and tell him where you want to go, and hopefully he knows where it is, and hopefully you know where you're talking about. You don't end up in the wrong place. Then you have to wait to pay, right, and find out, and then don't even get into like the credit versus cash or whatever, and trying to haggle through that. And it's a high friction thing for both the driver and the passenger. It's just not a good experience. And now, with rideshare available, right, where you just click an app, boom, 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 put in your destination, wait, driver shows up, boom, gone. That's what Fountain is trying to do with the application process, is make it as seamless and smooth as possible. How does this apply to Sterling? And it's funny because I was thinking the way as Joy with passport or the security checkpoint, but this is a better actually analogy. And I just got back from a recent trip. Got off the airplane, went to the rideshare area, was waiting for my rideshare, saw the car pull up, checked the license plate, good to go, start walking towards it. There was another gentleman walking towards it as well. The driver got out, said, "Josh?" We both went, "Yes." And we both looked at each other. Very quickly, I went, "Ahmed?" And he smiled and waved at me. And then Josh and I traded glances, and he's like, I was waiting for a white RAV4 too. And I'm like, yeah, but this license plate is the one that I'm waiting for. We exchanged pleasantries about being awesome with the first name of Josh, and went on our way. But like that checkpoint, that small little friction point there, just to make sure that the right thing happened, that's how Sterling fits into that seamless transaction, right? That's where we marry those two groups so perfectly. That just highlighted it to me, in a very different context, but very similar. The travel thing always hits hard for this.
That's our theme for today.
Yeah. It's good to provide real life examples. I think people understand it a little bit more. So, yes. I think that's a good segue though into my next question. So Josh, I'll stay with you. You brought up rideshare. So things like the gig economy. What industries, are we seeing, using our integration together? Like maybe one's more favorable than the other one, any type of trends there?
Yeah, I mean, so Fountain, we started focusing much on the gig industry. That was where it made sense. The seamless integration that we had, or seamless experience we had with for those customers made a lot of sense. But we're across a lot of industries. Basically, if you need large volumes of frontline workers, Fountain is the gig for you. But our focus we have a lot of delivery and logistics customers. We have a lot of warehousing, hospitality, retail, food services. I think, one of our big kind of shining moments is in the delivery space, in delivery drivers. And it's also where we've partnered together with Sterling. And it's a great use case and success story, because like, if either of you or anybody out there has had packages delivered for Christmas this year, the likelihood that it was a Fountain hired driver, extremely high. I would bet money on it. That's how good it is, and I don't like to bet money.
It's not a gambling show. I'll put that out
Exactly.
there.
This is not a gambling show. Because basically during this peak season, so the lead up to Christmas, we hired north of 300,000 drivers for our customers to deliver packages to everybody's door. And that's a perfect use case for both Sterling and for Fountain, like in terms of this kind of stuff, is that the reality is that delivery is a cyclical system, right? So it's like it goes through a long lull where there's deliveries happening, but they don't need that much volume, and then there's a huge peak, right? Christmas hits and everybody wants everything, and that's where we really shine is in those moments where, hey, I need 200,000 drivers, like by next month, and that's what Fountain does, is get that through the system, reduce that time to hire. That's our biggest metric, and we can do that. It's crazy some of the times that you can get people from application to hire in 10 minutes when it works with all of our different AI products and workflow products to get it through the system. So that's where we do our best.
And I've seen it also work really well with companies that use both platforms, where they're trying to open up or break into new markets. So they have to hire people really quickly, whether it be a store opening or they decide they're going to start delivering packages in a new region or a new area. Their ability to kind of create those experiences and deploy them really quickly and hire really quickly is something that we've seen directly as well.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, and one of the other big things, and this is actually something that really touches on this integration as well, is because we're hiring so many frontline workers in any one of these industries. A frontline worker is different than a knowledge worker in terms of the hiring process. And one of the big differentiators is that majority of our users, like 80% of them, go through mobile, right? And having that mobile experience, because we meet them where they are, right? They want to be able to apply, and they can do so, while they're at the grocery store, they can go through and very quickly apply, and the integration that we have with Sterling provides that same experience. So it just goes right into Sterling without missing a beat. Sorry, and you can do that all from your mobile device, which is really important for these kind of workers. It needs to be just low friction and seamless. And
that's another thing that kind of made our organizations fit together really nicely, because we have similar stats with regards to applicants on some type of mobile device or tablet. If we can get them through that application process and collect all of the information that we need then to launch those background searches, I'll throw some stats at you. Once we have the information and we get someone through the initial application and they enter into background check, 90% of the time, our criminal searches are closed in the first day. And what's interesting is when I first started here 10 years ago, we measured turnaround time in days or weeks. And currently now we measure turnaround time in minutes. So we've done a lot of investment in automation and fulfillment, leveraging smart data. We're starting to work on AI and where we can implement that in a compliant way in order to drive faster speed. But that 90% for organizations that work with Fountain, they feel that speed. And that 90% I said we measure in minutes, 70% of those are done within an hour. And that's like signed, sealed, delivered, and you're ready to go work.
Right, which leans right into what we want, right? Is and that's one of the things that I think that's a really good point about the difference in the way you guys have been measuring success, right? Coming from weeks to days to hours, and I think that's where I've seen our partnership kind of grow and strengthen, is because we that change on your side and then our kind of consistent push to make it go even faster has helped, because we have a common thread, which is we want people to be hired. We want our customers to get people hired. We want people to be able to get to work. It's one of the great experiences is getting a new job. It's exciting, right? And like we want to be able to do that. It's that common thread pulls us through, and just that that change in our focus over time has really helped grow the partnership and strengthen, and also is why this integration that we're talking about, this deeper partnership, came about, because we realized, if we get better at this and get closer, we can get it even faster, and we can make this even more successful for our customers. And so that's why we're here.
I think the other thing to add, though, is that I think both of our organizations are very focused on accuracy and compliance as well.
Absolutely.
So we won't sacrifice compliance or making sure that we're doing things in a safe way for everyone involved. We won't sacrifice that for speed. And so that's why I think both of us figuring out how to make technology work for the greater good and speed things up, also layering in then all of the FCRA regulations and requirements that we have, and different models like employer to employee versus contractor versus independent worker, like all of those models require a different approach. And so that's always in the forefront as we're building together as well.
Yeah, speed without quality is a disaster, right? If you don't have the quality in there, it's you just get things really fast, Yeah, and that's not helpful. So you have to have that quality level, that compliant level that needs to be in there, and absolutely, that's something that's why we partner with Sterling. It's like, you guys are really good at what you do. We know we're gonna get quality through it, and we can keep moving fast. So
Caitlin, we have to have him back. He's nothing but flattery.
I know, it's just compliment after compliment. I love it. It's a true testament, though, to the partnership. The conversation that the two of you have had thus far. Over the last 20 minutes, it just, again, we're adapting through things that are happening within the hiring landscape. We're seeing where Sterling has strengths, where Fountain has strengths, and bringing them together to truly become a very, very important partnership. So I love it. And I think the compliments are across the board, but Josh, keep them coming our way. We absolutely love it.
Hey, you guys have been nice to me too, so don't worry. I'm happy to receive as well.
Of course. No, but thank you guys for touching on compliance. It is a huge integral part of the hiring process. So I'm happy, to raise that there again, not really sacrificing that quality, that compliance, just to get things through the door. We are doing things the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that you had touched on, Joy, you had mentioned this earlier because you spoke about, there's not a place in the world that you haven't met that Sterling could touch down in. So I want to talk about our global capabilities a little bit more. It's been a trend on Sterling Live over the past couple of episodes of really advancing on that and making sure that we can help organizations around the world. So I want to talk about both, Fountain and Sterling and the global solutions that we offer. So Josh, I will start with you on the global capabilities.
Of course. So first, let me just clarify that the integration that we're talking about today, the partnership is global. The integration that we're launching right now, that we've launched recently, is focused on the U.S. market. But Sterling and Fountain are committed to extending that out to the global market as well, and that's something that will be coming over the year. But we had to focus one place. Just in software development, you have to focus somewhere, right? Fountain itself, we operate in 70 plus countries right now. And just as Joy said, Sterling hasn't met a country they couldn't operate in. Fountain's the same way. We are constantly adding new locations to our product. We are available in over 28 different languages right now, on both sides, the recruiter and the applicant experience. And globally, our time to hire, we've been able to have a median of about 5.5 days across, all the different issues that you have with hiring globally. So we're quite proud of all the stuff we've been able to do as a global company. And partnering with Sterling here and extending that partnership will help us quite a bit in that space.
Yeah, I think the thing, you've probably heard me say this a million times, Caitlin, but the world continues to get smaller and smaller. Yeah. So while we're just focused on the U.S. markets, we know that there's a lot of people with some type of international backgrounds that we would need to be able to validate to make sure that we've got good people on platforms or as a part of organizations. So, from our perspective, we've run searches in 240 countries and territories. And it is including territories. I always get the comment, are there 240 countries?
Yeah.
But it includes territories as well. And
I always go by the World Cup metric, so I think it's like 228. So
yeah, exactly. But it's, for us, what we're also continuing to hear from organizations is that desire to bring things together, bring global screening policies together, so that you have a standard that is easily measured around the world, and then how you execute that is where then the regional nuances come in, and that's everything from the paperwork that's required to do it, the desired language to communicate in. And a really good example of that is LATAM. So we've recognized that as a region where cultural experience was really important. The way we communicate and the experience really, really matters. And the quality of the information that we could retrieve and use in our background checks was also really important. So the acquisition that we made of Socrates, now affectionately called Sterling LATAM, is a good example of where we've also figured out where we need to commit and physically put ourselves in order to make sure that we're driving the best experience possible.
Yeah, and that goes back to like what I mentioned before about meeting the worker where they are, right? And that's part of that is bringing that experience to that worker, not making them have to jump over hurdles or jump through hoops to be able to apply for a job or get their background check done. It's meeting them there and saying, here's what here it is served up on a platter for you. This is how you get this job. That's really important across all of the stuff that we do globally as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I do want to take this time to remind our audience, if you have any questions for Joy or Josh, to get them in now on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. You can put them in the comment section. And I will point out too, if you are watching live on LinkedIn, you can actually find 2 links in the comment section to learn more about our partnership on our website. And then also there's a link to the press release that we did launch recently talking about the preferred partnership. So those 2 resources are in the comment section on LinkedIn for you. As we wait for any further comments to come in or any questions for the 2 of you, I'd love to get some final thoughts. I mean, it was just a great conversation so far, but I would love to gather some final thoughts from the 2 of you. So Josh, I will start with you on final thoughts for today.
Man, final thoughts. I mean, and I think, and we've talked a lot about just the, I keep bringing up, and I'll say it again, the low friction kind of experience that we want. We want to meet the worker where they are and be able to get them through the process as seamlessly and smoothly as possible. And I think, that's what we're committed to. And I love that Sterling is also committed to that same thing. That's one of the reasons why, this makes so much sense, right? We want the same thing. We want people to be hired. We want our customers to be successful. And I love that. That's I will say this, that is one of the things that makes me so happy to be doing what I do, because the outcome of what we do is a lot of people getting jobs and getting excited about getting a new job. That's a really great way to spend your days, right? To go through all the other fun stuff you have to do at any job, to be able to know that what you're doing is being able to get people hired, and making sure the right people are hired for our customers. I mean, it's a really good experience. And Sterling and Fountain are just a natural fit in this space. Just the ability to offer the global reach and the volume that Sterling can do with the speed and ease that Fountain offers. It's like peanut butter and jelly, man.
Yeah, I guess I would say, well, there's a couple things I would say. The first is in my interactions with Josh and others on the Fountain team, I've really been excited and impressed with how smart and innovative and forward thinking they are. Because background screening is essential and it's necessary, and where and if we can put it in places that feel forward and innovative and productive, those are places we want to be. And so that's something that really makes me continue to be excited about what we can bring to the table. And I'm really excited for what we can help clients accomplish and achieve. These last few years have been really challenging across all industries and organizations and individuals. And so to Josh's point, it's really exciting to be a part of a solution and kind of help people achieve the things that they're trying to achieve. And it's not bad to do it with smart, fun people as well.
Well, let me say it right back at you. I mean, I have had the greatest experience working with all the Sterling folks as well, especially once, once we all saw that we had this common goal and this common vision, and it was just, it's been a great exercise and teamwork around getting this thing together. So. It's
the first time I saw Fountain was actually a client demoed it for us, and I was like, "This is
nice,
cool!" Like it was really neat to kind of see it in practice too. So
yeah, exactly. No, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to what we can do, in the years to come. So
for sure,
yes. We are in good company and we're doing all the right things for our clients, like the both of you had mentioned. So it's been such a great episode, learning more and more about, the two organizations and the people behind the organizations, bringing this partnership to life. I look forward to being able to come on another Sterling Live episode in the future with even more great information and good news for our audience. But today was really, really special. I want to thank the both of you for joining me. It was really great. A lot of good conversations came out of this. And also, to thank our audience for whether you're tuning in live right now or you catch the on-demand version later. But Joy, Josh, no more questions from me and no more questions from the audience. So with that, I will thank you both again. And I really appreciate you stopping by Sterling Live.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you, everyone. I will catch you next week, actually, on Sterling Live. So see you then.